Alright, we'll take a look at Loki now. I'll show you his setup that I got made for him. I really have two setups. I got one, there's a really minor difference, one with radial disarm and one with vigor. We're going to go with the one with radial disarm for this, just so I can show you what the skills are all about. Unfortunately, it's going to be kind of useless because I'm going into Zini, which is an infested level, and infested are melee only. They don't have gunfire, but we'll get into that once we get into the game. So yeah, like I said, this is my setup. It's really set up for speed, really. Alright, so we'll get into the game. Back to Zini we go. So Loki is a stealth-based character, some would say, and they wouldn't be wrong, although I personally think that he's more closer towards trickster than full-on stealth, and I'll explain that now in a second. Loki definitely has the capability of stealth, seeing how he has invisibility, which is his second ability. Quite useful. It is the most powerful invisibility in the game currently, because it lasts the longest for the energy used. And for his first ability, which is about 25 energy, if you don't have anything modded, is his decoy, which is pretty useful for crowd control. I would call it more of a secondary crowd control than a primary crowd control. Because I mean it's good if you don't got anything else. Don't get me wrong, it's very effective, but not as effective as say Nyx or Vauban or even Mag's Pull. Okay, so and his third ability is Switch Teleport. There you go, and he is where I was, and I am where he was, and it's good. You need either a mob, a teammate, or your decoy in order to pull it off. You need something to switch with, basically. Now, we did kind of touch on Loki a little bit in the control section of this guide series, but we're going to go into a little bit more detail. Now, Loki is extremely well suited towards melee because, as we mentioned in the control video, when you're invisible, you actually do bonus damage. You do, I think, 2 or 3 times more damage. I don't remember exactly. All I know is it's a lot of bonus damage. So that's not a bad thing. And as you can see, the decoy actually is working quite well of keeping the mobs under control in a control situation. Now, it does have a health system, I guess, and it can die after taking so much hits, and it's also timed as well. So you have to refresh it fairly regularly. And I'll show you his fourth ability, which is going to be completely useless. And that is, I don't have the energy for it. Okay, give me a second here. Okay, now I do, but I gotta wait for the next wave. But yeah, Loki is very good. I have to say, he is probably my favorite Warframe currently. Is the one that I'm using the most. And I didn't actually pick him first. I picked Meg first for my initial, and when I got Loki, I just could not believe how much I'm enjoying him. Like I was actually using Ash quite a bit before Loki, and then when I got Loki, I just dropped Ash altogether. Okay, anyways, radio disarm, and it does nothing. What it actually does is it disarms, it removes any projectile guns, I guess you can say, from any mobs. Now, of course, infected don't have guns, they're all melee based, so it's completely useless against them. Usually that's when I put in Vigor instead of that mod. I mean, I just wanted to show you what's it all about, really. So as you can see, I'm clearing out this map quite quickly, even though this is still early rounds into Zini, with just melee and invisible, with a little bit of help of the decoy. Now, how is Loki in the end game? Or actually, you know what? Let's talk about a bit of his base stats first. Yes, let's do that. He can't take damage for the life of him. All right, he has very low armor. He has very low initial health, and what makes up for that is obviously his ability to turn invisible, which is better than any amount of armor or health, because if you're invisible, you don't get hit. Period. That's way better than defense. This is the best defense, not getting hit at all. So there's that. That really helps a lot. And of course, his speed. His natural speed is actually the highest rated in this game. Nova's pretty close, and Volt has an ability that speeds up himself and his whole teammate, his whole team. But from a natural standpoint, Loki is the fastest Warframe. So that's a huge benefit right there. Now, how is Loki in the end game? Loki is very, very well suited for the end game. Now, in the end game, he's not going to be doing the most damage. He's not going to be the toughest Warframe. But what he's not doing in base attributes, he's doing through support roles. Like with the decoy, it'll help with the crowd control, but mostly for his invisibility. Now, high-end clans from Warframe, they like to do something called highway defense, where they'll go into like Xeni or another defense map or whatever, and try to stay there as long as possible. Try to get as high level as possible. And then mobs start getting into like the levels of 100 to 200, just ridiculous numbers, right? And at that point, some of your teams are expected to start going down, because mobs, especially ancients, are going to be one-shotting you, okay? So what that means is they need somebody to pick their ass up. And the most capable person is definitely Loki or Ash. And since this is about Loki, I'm going to just say Loki. And that's because, when you're invisible, you get left alone. You have full reins to, pick up your teammates without being bothered. And that's really, really important in the game. And Loki is by far the best at something like that. So he's actually, out of the 3 initial Warframes, I would think, because for that reason, he is the most capable of endgame, out of Mag, Excalibur, and of course Loki. Now, besides that, the whole teamwork thing and tower or highway defense, he's also extremely, extremely useful for doing runs, like getting from point A to point B and coming back to the spawn point to exit the level. So obviously because of his speed, but also because of his invisibility. He can run through a map without getting hit and without killing anything, without any problems. Loki is exceptional for runs. He is definitely highly used in any kind of quests or maps that involves a lot of running around. You'll see that during events as well. During events where you have to go from point A to point B over and over again, you're going to see a lot of Lokis, a lot of Vaults around. And since we're not covering a Vault right now, a lot of Lokis. So yeah, he's quite capable of endgame. And I actually didn't pick Loki right off the bat. I picked Mag, as I mentioned earlier. And I like Mag, don't get me wrong, but Loki is now my new favorite, and it's definitely currently the Warframe I play the most. I find his speed and his invisibility so useful, has so much utility to those aspects that I just can't. It's hard to deny how useful Loki can be. Now, the biggest drawback with Loki is that he has a bit of a learning curve because he can't take much hits. And you're going to go down trying to melee stuff all the time, a lot, with like ancient toxins and stuff like that. When there's like an AoE damaging effect, like gas and stuff. So yeah, that's Loki. Like I said before, out of the 3 initial Warframes, in my honest opinion, I think Loki is the most capable for end gameplay. Now, again, he does have a drawback from lack of health, lack of durability, and overall a higher learning curve than Excalibur or Mag, because you will have to learn how to control his speed, and you won't be able to utilize his speed to its highest effect until you learn how to control your Warframe through parkour. And also learning when to melee and when to back off is also a very important skill that I'm sure you'll develop very quickly after going down a few times from toxins. So yeah, that's the 3 Warframes in a nutshell. It's a very big, long nutshell. So, like I said, even though I'm stating that Loki is probably the most well suited for endgame, none of the other two or any of out of the three are bad Warframes by any means. They're all capable of endgame. It's just Loki tends to remain highly played up to the end game, whereas Mag, like I said, is starting to catch up in that aspect as well. And Excalibur honestly just gets left in the dust. I rarely see Excaliburs in the end game. Now, not to say that they're not capable of it. They're just not optimal for it. And yeah, this is Aldershot, and this has been Warframe Beginner's Guide, parts 4, I believe, of the initial Warframes. I hope you enjoy what you see, and if you like what you see, what you hear, please send me some love. Give me a like, give me a comment, favorite it, but most importantly, because this channel is still new and still a baby, I would really, really appreciate you helping me grow it by subbing. Thanks a lot. Aldershot out.